Welcome, everybody, to the Punk Rock Doc Live. I am your host, Dr. JJ Kelly. Yes, I am the Punk Rock Doc. And welcome to the show. So, we are taking calls today. You can ask me a question. It's kind of a riff off our Throw Up Thursday live. You come barf your problems. I answer your question, and you leave feeling, relieved, lighter, what have you. So, if you want to give us a call, the number is 515-605-9822. Again, and I got to put it far away so I can read it because, I'm at that age now. 515-605-9822. I don't want to do this thing, like my dad. Okay, so we have a special guest today, my brother Sam. Get your face in here for a second. Yeah. And so we're going to take a live question, which that's what I really like. We're just getting started here. So we're asking people to send in questions, so it's not just dead air. However, what I'm hoping is that this ends up being the kind of thing where we can just, do the live thing, and my lovely producer, my Roz, my Robin, Christy Brower can filter those questions in and we can answer them live. Hi, Christy. How are you today?
Hello. Doing great. How are you? You were
Great.
laughing so hard when you came on earlier that you're clearly having a good day.
Well, I'm always laughing when I'm with Sam. That is what we do best. So sometimes it gets a little out of control and sometimes people get offended, but whatever, it happens. We're just laughing. We're not really laughing at people. They just, sometimes. So let's start with Sam's question, and then Christy has a couple more on deck if there's time. So I don't know what Sam's going to ask, by the way. I specifically told him not to tell me. So let's see what the guy comes up with. Here you go. Get on in here.
Yes, hello.
Hello, caller. What is your question?
So my question is, a couple months ago, I had a conflict with a friend.
Uh-huh.
And then recently we got together and everything was fine and dandy, but the conflict was never brought up. And they did something that we both know is not good. So my question is, how long do I wait to give them the opportunity to bring it up and to clear themselves before I bring it up? And how can I effectively do that?
Whoa. Damn, Christy, did you hear that?
That's
did. Pretty
that
good.
Is a fabulous question.
Woo, and very close to the bone for both of us personally. So that is interesting. All right. This is such an interesting one, too, because as a clinician, I think that I can best serve other people when I'm not, when I'm saying the thing, I'm focused on them. I'm saying the thing that I think is most clinically relevant and helpful to them. And this one's interesting because it also affects me. So in my mind and, my guts, I have to separate out me being a factor in this question, which I think is interesting too, in order to effectively help my brother navigate. So putting my clinician hat on, there were a couple of questions there, like, how long do I wait? And then what do I say? How do I most effectively navigate through? Well, now, Sam has taken my class, my 8-week course, twice. So even that usage of the word, how do I effectively move through that, is sort of a DBT way to say it, which I very much appreciate. So that's cool. All right. So how long do I wait? I don't think there is a right answer to this per se. I think that don't avoid it just because you're scared. Like, I think that you want to give your buddy some time, maybe give them the chance to come in and initiate, just so that they could have the like courage points for initiating, because you're both thinking about it for sure. Even when you're having like this nice time that you had where you kind of reconnect and everybody's on their best behavior, you both know it's coming, you know, it's hanging out there. I would say once it starts to feel awkward, or you start feeling some form of frustration, anger about it not being brought up, then the next time, bring it up. Don't just notice and validate your feelings of frustration, your feelings of maybe impatience, which is also in the anger camp. And then go away and use your skills to regulate those emotions and build a plan for how you're going to initiate the next time, how you will mindfully initiate that interaction. And we also teach how to do that. In the interpersonal effectiveness skills, there is a formula for how to confront someone as well. So, okay, how is this sounding to you so far, Sam? No, don't give me a fucking thumbs up. Just talk.
How's it sounding?
Like, what's coming up for, what are you thinking as I'm talking? Get your face in here.
I figured that, like, you know, there was no, like, time period, obviously. I was just gonna have to feel it out for myself, you know? Like, so it does ring true, like, you know, once I start getting
pissed.
Yeah, and maybe, like, anxiously avoiding, then that's the time to do it next.
That's smart. And, okay, how were you, like, what was the monologue in your mind during the meeting? Like, did it come into your mind during the like, cordial first reconnect meeting?
Yeah, but I had gone into that knowing that I was going to not bring it up. So I was already, like, deciding that I wasn't going to.
And I think that's the mindful choice too. Like I was saying, go in with a plan. I'm always telling people that, you know, for interpersonal effectiveness, the best outcome or the best chance, what maximizes getting taken seriously or getting your ask or your say no, or resolution of conflict, to get it there, you want to have a plan. Because a lot of times we have no objective going into an interpersonal interaction, and then it quickly goes to hell in a handbasket, and we're sitting there and we're like, oh, Christ, what the hell happened? Like, how do I get out of it? I don't even know how I got here. Now we're both upset, and upset meaning pissed or scared or sad or all those things, maybe ashamed. And now you've got all these emotions stirred up because you went in without a plan. Anytime you want to approach someone, to ask for something, to say no, to resolve some sort of conflict between the two of you, before you even see their face, define what is my objective going into this interpersonal interaction. What do I want the outcome to be? What do I want them to do or change? And then how do I want to feel about myself after the interaction is over? These are basic questions to ask yourself before an interpersonal interaction, and even defining that will make that just grounds you in mindfulness so much better to have a plan. Remembering, of course, that we can't make people do things. We can't control people. So sometimes you might deliver the best, most mindful, most effective, what we call DEAR. That's just the acronym DEAR for the formula I was referring to earlier. You might deliver the most effective DEAR on the planet, and the other person still is a wild card and can just be like, nope, for their own reasons, because they didn't take the course and they don't know, their emotional intelligence isn't that high and they just don't wanna. or they have all kinds of emotions stirred up. They're immediately defensive, when you approach them, and they just freeze up, or they get pissed, or whatever people do when they're confronted, even in a healthy way when they're confronted. So we don't attach too much to outcome. We just take our best shot in a way that is in alignment with our values, and then let the chips fall where they may. So what about a deer for this? Like, let's say you get to the point, you've had a couple of meetings and it goes well, and now you're like, well, what the fuck? Are they going to bring it up or what? I guess they're not going to bring it up. And you gave them a chance. Maybe you met, I don't know, 3 times or whatever. And they said nothing, and they're acting like nothing happened. Now you're starting to get like irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, impatient, I don't know. And you want to go in and say something. So you're a little on the spot here, and you can decline if you want to. I can work through it on my own if you want. But at least let's talk about what would be your objective going into the interpersonal interaction. Scoot over. That looks so uncomfortable. He's thinking.
The main objective is to reestablish a real connection.
Whoa. What is that? That's not very specific. Like, what the hell? How do you define that?
I'm trying to, like, keep a longtime friend and keep our, a deep connection where we can talk about these things. So if it's, like, not going to happen, then I have to readjust and be like, okay, this is that kind of friend where it's...
Right. However, what do you need from the interaction in order to have that kind of connection? Because, I agree with you. It's just, that's such a broad objective.
Right.
That's asking a lot from one interaction.
Yes. Okay, so specifically, I would like acknowledgement of what had happened rather than acting like it didn't happen at all, and then an apology.
Okay, see, now we're getting more concrete. And this is how I work with people. I don't disagree. Not that that's even relevant. We don't have to agree for me to be able to help you with the emotional intelligence skills to behave according to your values and try to be as effective as you can be. However, when I'm pushing on Sam with the, like, that's so broad or whatever, it's not that I disagree with him. It's that we maximize our chances of getting what we want from the interpersonal interaction if we define it as specifically as we can. I want everything to be okay. Like, no, I'm going to then challenge people to get as specific as they can. So you said 2 potential objectives. Acknowledgement of the conflict, right? What happened? And, I think you said but I'm going to say or an apology. I think that the apology part is more specific as well as more difficult, potentially. I think the acknowledgement is less specific, yet easier to accomplish. Do you agree with those assessments?
Yes.
Yeah. Both of us knowing how this person operates. So let's do the easier one just for your sake. No? You don't want to do it? You don't have to do it. Yeah. So here's the formula. The deer is describe, express, assert, and reinforce. Very briefly, the describe is just the facts. It's judgment free. You're just saying what the deal is. The express is where you can put your opinions, what you think about it, and or what you feel about it. About the deer is the it. And then the assert is the actual ask or say no. We want that as few words as possible, because when we get pissed, when we get scared, when we get emotionally activated, we often say way too many words. We just barf out words. And the more words you have in a deer, the lower your effectiveness is going to be. So potent and concise is always our goal when constructing our deer. So that the A is assert, the actual ask and say no. R is reinforcement. It's the greasing wheels. It's like rewarding them ahead of time. It's like what in sales is called assuming the sale. So you either describe the positive or the negative consequences of getting what you want, or you just thank them generally before they've given you what you want. So let's go with the acknowledgement of the conflict. What would your D describe be in that situation?
So it's going to be very general, so so I'd be like, you dissed me.
I love it. Did you hear that? You dissed me. I think that has judgment in it because, you know, I don't think that person would even disagree with that. However, you dissed me has an assumption about the other person's intentions, and we try not to do that in any sort of emotional intelligence skills, just as a general rule, because it's that guessing and assuming about other people's intentions without getting the confirmation that often makes an interpersonal interaction go to hell in a handbasket. So ignored is better because it's more just accurate.
Right.
Okay, so you ignored me. I think that one's rock solid. You ignored me. So then the express is, what do you think about it? How do you feel about it?
That made me sad.
Yes. And we're laughing because, you know, we're doing a formulaic thing. However, we practice it this way, and as you practice it, it gets a lot more smooth and like true to life. So what do we have? You ignored me. That made me feel sad. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Okay. You ignored me. That made me feel sad. Now, is the assert. Is this an ask or a say no?
An ask.
Okay, great. That was definitive. So what would you say in your ask?
Please don't ignore me.
Yeah. And here's where a lot of people, when they ask for something, they say, can you please? And we try to move away from that because can you is a way that people socially soften their ask, which we are not looking to do. We don't want to soften anything. We want it to be potent and concise. Also, can you is more about ability. Can you? Well, they can. Yeah, they totally can. Will you? And I think, and people, you can disagree with this, I think adding a please does not reduce its potency. Some people might think that and, you know, act according to your own values. I think will you please is just as strong as do it, you know? So your ask again was what? Please don't ignore me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, this is great. You're doing great. And then the R, reinforce, might be what?
Our friendship will be better off if you do so.
Oh, wonderful. When you do so.
When you do
right?
so.
Like we're assuming the sale, you know? Like it's gonna happen. Can you hear him okay, Christy?
Yeah, he should just lean a little closer to you sometimes, but I can hear him.
Okay, cool. So our friendship will be, what'd you say? My friendship? Better off. Our friendship will be better off. Yes, I agree with you. What does better off mean, just for the sake of demonstrating specificity?
Like, we can continue being closer friends.
Yeah. Intimacy, I think, is what you're referring to. You know, and, you know, some guys might not go up to another guy and be like, it would, you know, deepen our intimacy, you know. And I'm not against that. I think that the world would be a great place if that happened. However, realistically, it's like, we'll be tighter. I'll trust you more. You're going to forgive a person that hurts your feelings when they apologize, and the apology starts with the acknowledgement. So I do think that this exercise is great. And so remember when I was saying with the reinforce, what Sam just did is he described the positive consequences of getting a yes to his ask. So that's why we tweaked the if to a when. So when you acknowledge it, we will be tighter. There'll just be more trust. It's more truth between us. And that's a matter of intimacy, whether it's said or not. So if you were to describe the negative consequences of not getting your ask taken seriously, it might look like what or sound like what?
If you don't, I don't believe I can continue trusting you.
Yeah. Like, how the hell are we going to move forward if you don't even acknowledge that it happened, much less give me an apology? Yes. So the key to, I'm just having him do the negative consequences because I wanted an example for it. I think his instinct to go with describing positive consequences is the most effective thing to do here. So the key to describing negative consequences in the interactions that you want to use negative consequences description, the key there is tone. You want to avoid sounding like you're threatening somebody. And if you are emotionally regulated, you have your fear about the interaction or your anger regulated, you're breathing, you're keeping calm, you're staying at baseline, then you can absolutely deliver a statement about negative consequences without sounding threatening. I do it all the time, and it just takes practice, and it takes regulation of the fear of doing it. So yeah, you can also say, I'd really appreciate it. So that is, do you hear all that, Christy? Like, that is an awesome example.
So good. And that's a challenging situation to even be the one to bring it up, but to have such a clear plan about exactly what you're going to say makes it so much easier.
Totally. And I just wish people would regulate their fear and defensiveness when confronted in this healthy way, because don't forget, when someone is coming, they're like, oh, you're coming at me. Actually, I am entering into this conflict with you very mindfully in an effort to continue and enhance the relationship. You don't go and confront people you don't give a shit about. So everybody just regulate your defensiveness so that you can work together to resolve conflict. There's no need to throw it back on the other person. Let's just breathe and listen to each other in an effort to deepen our relationships with each other and leave with some self-respect and dignity still intact. I think that's a great place to stop. What do you think?
It's a fantastic place to stop.
So thank you, our guest, Sam. Thank you so much for demonstrating a deer. He made it look easy, folks. It is never that easy. But you know what? You get happier and happier when you behave according to your values. So I am Dr. JJ Kelly. If you want to learn more, drjjkelly.com for a free consultation. Happy people act right.